Welcome to Born on the Bayou Sports, a Houston sports show made for Houstonians by Houstonians. Join Tim Costello and Scott Barzilla every week as they break down the latest in Houston Astros, Rockets, and Texans news. Tim's a former minor league broadcaster, and Scott has written 2 books on the Baseball Hall of Fame. Yeah, if Javier could get it figured out, it would make things a lot easier because he was that guy everybody was counting on this year to be a Cy Young candidate, take that big step forward and help anchor this rotation with Fromber.
Since he's come to Houston, you can look at the development of guys like Carlos Correa defensively, Jeremy Pena defensively. I mean, you can Alex Bregman's, certainly I think a better than average third baseman.
And now you're putting teams in 3rd and 8, 3rd and 7, 3rd and 9. Now here comes Will Anderson. Pin back your ears, let's go. So if you're Bayou born and bred, or just like spending time in the H, sit down, relax, and stay Houston strong. Welcome all my friends to the show that had to take a little bit of a rescheduling approach due to the holidays, but we're doing a special edition here tonight, Scott. Post-Texans win. Scott very happy that his Horned Frogs finished the season strong. I've got my Final Four cap on tonight after they found a way to take care of the Baylor Bears in thrilling fashion. But Scott, for the most part, we want to be talking Texans football tonight. That is, after we get started with our opening question. Scott, I think you have a good one for us this evening.
Well, so, for those of us, the 1 or 2 of us that might be Angels fans, the Anthony Rendon experience is coming to an end as the Angels are preparing a buyout and Rendon is going to retire. Although, some people will say he may have retired back in 2020. I don't know. But thinking back, all 3 sports open here to the conversation, Tim. Who is the most disappointing athlete in your Houston fandom history?
I think there's definitely a few. Going back a little bit further, looking at like a Preston Wilson coming off the World Series appearance. He was supposed to be kind of that missing piece offensively, was absolute dog shit here, and then goes to the Cardinals and suddenly finds it and becomes a World Series champion. So that one was bullshit. Ahmad Green. We brought him over from Green Bay. It was supposed to be like, hey, we gonna have a little bit of a running game here, baby. And that was not great. The Texans ones is littered with veterans you thought were gonna come over and make a move, and they, Ed Reed. I bought that fucking jersey. Ed Reed was a pretty big bust. And then on a Rocket side of things, what would you consider during the Harden era? Would you consider the Dwight Howard signing a bust? Didn't do what it wanted to do.
It was disappointing. It was disappointing. See, my fandom goes back a little bit further than yours, so I can have a little bit of wealth here. For the Rockets side of thing, I think for me, Pippen was the top choice on that one. And he wasn't a bad player. He just, for some reason, things didn't fit here. Because that was back when they were, still trying to do that.
But then it immediately fit with the Blazers, and they go to the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah, and then so you mentioned Ed Reed. Ed Reed's got to be pretty high up there on the Texans list. And then for the Astros, I'll go with you the double whammy. You heard of Jim Clancy?
Only because you brought him up before.
He was the replacement. So get this. Nolan Ryan was making $1 million a year. wanted to continue making $1 million a year. The Astros said, no, we want to give you a pay cut after you led the National League in strikeouts. So they offer him like 500 grand, and they turn around and they give Jim Clancy like
Yeah, that's a pretty big one, and I still think we're obviously leaving out the most recent one. Jose Abreu obviously needs to be mentioned,
yes.
as no one thought that was a bad deal going into the season, right? Like we had, you know, mainstream media radio hosts on our podcast agreeing, hey, it's a great signing. We're all looking forward to having that bat in the lineup. And then lo and behold, we did not enjoy having that bat in the lineup, Scott.
No, and the first year wasn't terrible overall, and he hit well in the playoffs, and so we're sitting there thinking the second year, maybe we see a little rebound here from Jose Abreu, and we did not.
The question is, as we can honestly agree, Christian Walker didn't, he had an okay year. Do we see the rebound, or does it fall off the face of the earth? I think the Astros are banking on rebound. We shall see. I've heard they're still shopping Paredes, which is scary to me. But we'll see. We're not going to talk as much Astros today, Scott. We're here to talk Texans because it was a tough win today. They found a way to pull it out. There were some questionable decisions, questionable play calling. I think it was good to have CJ back. It looked crisper than when Davis was there. I thought the defense played okay. I think there were definitely some strong points. You didn't get destroyed by Jonathan Taylor. I thought we were going to break Daniel Jones in half going into that game, considering he's playing on a broken leg, and I thought he actually played pretty well.
Yeah, well, and the Colts have a good offensive line. And so you're not going to get to Daniel Jones as much as you would other quarterbacks. And, the funny thing about that is I felt like we played a great game defensively until we got to third down. I mean, there was that one touchdown drive in the second half. I mean, what we had like 3rd and 9, 3rd and 8, 3rd and 7, 3rd and 17. And they convert all of them, some of them because of penalties. But, I mean, that was the one drive where you wish you had that back defensively. But in the first half, they don't score if Stroud doesn't throw that pick. And so I can't fault the defense at all for their performance in the first half.
I think you're right. The first half was phenomenal. I just think in the second half, I think Bullock made some fantastic plays, but he also had some pretty big boneheaded ones. You mentioned the 3rd and 17 that was picked up by penalty, where it looked to me there was some hand fighting back and forth, and he just drags a guy down right in front of a referee, and then starts pointing like, "Nah, he was pushing off of me. He's pushed off of me." Like, you're never going to get that call in the NFL ever, and to make that play in that moment was astounding. But then 2 drives later, he's the one with a huge pass breakup on a 3rd down that forces a 4th down, right? So Bullock made some phenomenal plays. He got beat a couple times deep. But overall, I think you're right. The defense played a very, very good game. Another game allowing less than 20 points. That's the number, Scott. You personally have said it time and time again. If this team scores 20 points, they win. Scored exactly 20 points today. Thank you, Kami Fairborn, by somehow getting that one in there. We scored exactly 20 today, and they found a way to win.
So here's my question for you, right? So I think the focus is going to be that last, well, not the last offensive drive, because that one's the one where you're basically taking a knee, but the last full offensive drive. When you're down there 3rd and about half a yard, and we're pulling that circle peg square hole shit again. Tush push. Just keep hitting it.
At least, hey, to be fair, that was not circle peg ground hole. that was triangle peg round hole. We hadn't tried that one yet because that was a new little wrinkle here. And to be fair, it did work early in the game.
It
They
did.
picked a couple up with it, but once you didn't get it on third down, I didn't love the idea of going for it there on fourth. It worked, everything worked out. I get it, but hindsight's 2020. A field goal makes a touchdown game versus a 4-point game where they have to score a touchdown to beat you, and it would beat you. So to me, that just I don't know. They're trying to establish this identity of we're this tough, hard-nosed football team, and we're gonna go pick up that 4th and 1. Did you notice the different ways they had to go try and get short yardage today? We saw Nick Chubb in the Wildcat on the goal line. Don't know if you remember that one. It got negated by a penalty, but that was in there. We saw a quarterback sneak tush push with our backup tight end as the one taking the snap there. I mean, how many fucking different ways do you have to try and go pick up a yard, Scott? I don't get it.
Well, and I was going to say I saw that exact same scenario you mentioned at TDECU Stadium a week ago Saturday. And I'm sure you were watching that, and yeah, I got the double salute there. But I was screaming the exact same thing: kick, for the love of God, kick it! And our coach didn't do it then, and our coach didn't do it now. I don't. You take the points because I understand it from and I've said this before, and I'll said this before on this podcast. Analytics will tell you go for it. I absolutely 1000% believe that. But you can't go analytics with this team. This team does not perform well on short yardage situations. We've seen it over and over again. And so to me, you have to go with what your team normally does. And what your team normally does is you figure out not a way to not make it. Now, he may have made it on third down. I think when I watched it, it looked like he'd made it. But whenever the problem with the tush push is that you're relying on officials to accurately place the football. You're taking the decision out of your own hands and putting it in their hands, saying like, please God, give us a good spot. And they didn't. So you didn't get it.
No, and it wasn't even close. It was nowhere near where it needed to be. The announcers called it that way.
Yeah, the third down one was close. The fourth down one not.
and I would have loved, how about a fucking wrinkle, a little variation, right? Like instead of actually like the tush push, maybe you turn it into an option play where now you have British Brooks and Cade Stover coming down the line together. I don't know, but it's obvious what's happening. Your quarterback is out wide. You've got your backup tight end under center, and the two biggest, baddest motherfuckers you've got behind them. I don't know what to tell you, Scott.
Well, did you see the Mark Andrews scored a touchdown that way for the Ravens? It wasn't this week, but it was last week, I think. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Where he basically faked basically the tush push and then just kind of ran it, to the outside gap, and there was nobody there. I mean, to me, you could have done that with Cade Stover. Is Cade Stover any less athletic than Mark Andrews?
No, and I think maybe those wrinkles come with time. Hopefully, fingers crossed is what I'm going to give benefit of the doubt there. You showed it on tape a lot today the same way. I don't know. I'm going to hope that was the plan. But hey, we're just going to show this on tape. It's working. We'll keep going. And then maybe the wrinkles get added over time. I don't know. I do like the idea of doing that type of play in short yardage and still finding a way to avoid injury to CJ. I like it. How often do you go to the well, right? Like it works for the Eagles because they get an unbelievable push, right? Like as you mentioned, it goes up to where the ref spot it at the end of the day. But the Eagles push is so fucking good that most times the spot is obvious that they got it. Like he's literally crowd surfing his way to like the back of the end zone by the time everything's done. We ain't got that. The math don't math the same way it does in Philly with our offensive line. So, almost the Josh Allen type where you go above and just extend that's a better option for our offensive line because we just don't get the amazing push. We keep running left guard. We run behind left guard. The first play of the game, I believe, was a dive behind left guard. And it's just like, here we go again. Here we
Well,
fucking go again.
well, the last thing I was going to say before we get to the more positive points is that I'm going to reference a conversation I had last time that I had, this past week. But I want you to think about this. Who was the last good Texan center?
Myers, probably.
Okay, so when did he play?
20, like 14, 15.
So if you're trying to tush push, you're running it basically up the middle, right?
Essentially, yeah.
We don't have a center that wins. We just don't. And who was the center for the Eagles when they were perfecting that?
Kelsey.
Yeah, it was probably a damn near Hall of Fame center.
He'll get in. He's popular enough now that he'll get in.
And so, to me, if you stick a Hall of Fame center that wins, yeah, that's going to be a play that works. But you don't even have a mediocre center right now. And to me, I think in the offseason, I think you can see where they're going. I think Ed Ingram is okay at guard. I think Patterson, once they've inserted him at left guard, they've been okay. Ursery looks like he's going to be okay, and Howard is obviously good at the right tackle. If they go get themselves a center, this offensive line suddenly looks probably better than average.
Yeah, I definitely think they're missing that spot, but let's also give these guys their roses here a little bit today because late in the game, and again, I think a lot of it was Woody Marks, but that final drive, you had to get a first down to kill the game, and they still found a way to grind out 10 yards on the ground. Again, Woody Marks does a great job of staying on his feet, and he got 5 or 6 yards after contact there, Scott, to pull that second down run into a first down. But either way, this offensive line, everybody in the building knew we were going to run the football, and they still found a way to get at least enough of a crease for Woody to get through there.
Yeah, and I think where we have to do is give the roses overall is let's think about this. So 4 weeks ago, let's think about where we were. We're sitting there 3-5, and we know that we're about to get a bunch of Davis Mills. And we're probably, and we could go back and show the tape. We're both thinking, God, we're fucked.
No, please do go back and show the tape because I said we were going to win games.
Okay. Anyway, as I was saying, I don't think anybody, and the thing is that we kept talking about the math and the math of, well, you need to get to 10 wins and rolling off all the wins that you needed to have in order to get to 10 wins, and that you would need to beat Buffalo and you would need to beat Indy once. Well, you beat Buffalo and you've beaten Indy once. And dare I say that I think the Vegas odds probably are that we are a better than 50% chance of making the playoffs now. I mean, just in the last 4 weeks, because if you want to get to 10 wins, you need to win. You need to go 3-2 to finish the season. You've got games against the Raiders and the Cardinals. Cardinals are 3-9. The Raiders are 2-10. So I hate assuming victories, but let's put those in the win column. Now you're at 9 wins. What are the odds that this team can beat Kansas City, LA, or Indianapolis?
I'd say pretty strong, and I think that Indy game is going to be for the division. I really do. And I'm supposed to have tickets to that game. Well, hopefully it holds true. There's the same people that accidentally gave away our tickets to the 49ers game, but they said we're going to this one. So if that game's for the division, which I think it is, Scott, do you see a way that this defense could, I absolutely see us running the table. Like I don't want to assume Windsy. I'm not saying we're going to, but I can see this team running the table. The next game against Kansas City, it's not the Kansas City of old. This is a beatable football team, right? Like they don't have the same offensive line. They don't have the same explosion that they used to have, and they try and grind it out defensively. So you can win that football game. Then you play the Chargers. You've beaten them before. You beat them in the playoffs. I think again our defense is just fantastic. Their offensive line has had some injuries at tackle, especially where we kind of feast. if you are below average at the tackle position, hello, Danielle Hunter and Will Alexander. We're gonna make your day fucking really awful.
Good.
And then, as you mentioned, you mentioned Arizona, you mentioned the Raiders. So then, realistically, and I think there's a very strong chance it comes down to Week 18 for the AFC South. Your Texans who rattle off a ton of wins in a row versus the Colts who are trying to hang on at that point.
Well, and one of the key things what the schedule maker did, he noticed that we've facing the Colts twice in the second half of the season. They also have the Jaguars twice in the second half of the season. And the Jaguars are sitting there at 8-4. So, I mean, I guess we can't write them out of this thing yet because they could conceivably sweep the Colts and, make that game academic. But to me, if you're sitting there at 11 wins going into that game, you're in the playoffs. I mean, I don't think there's ever been an 11 I think you'd have to go back to the Matt Castle Patriots.
Matt Castle, yeah.
To see an 11-win team not make the playoffs.
But even then, we've been playing for 12 wins. And I think we'd be in, but we're trying to win the division at that point, get the home game. Well, but then that game matters too, because then divisional record matters between you and the Jaguars.
Right. You're 4-1 the division. So the Jaguars would have to sweep the Colts in order to stay in that divisional type situation. So that's, and I have to hand it to Daniel Jones playing on a broken leg. Because do you think that they're even in that game with Anthony Richardson at the helm?
No. He couldn't handle that kind of heat and just what they did in the secondary too. Like Daniel Jones does a phenomenal job at the line of scrimmage of recognizing where his mismatch is and at least trying to get the ball in that general direction, right? Like pressure comes, he got hit, didn't know what's happened, but I think at the line of scrimmage, like he was identifying his mismatches and trying to work the ball in that direction. I don't think Anthony Richardson would have been able to do that. And I think by the time he's trying to process the game as it happens, pressure's coming. I think he's a guy who runs into sacks, right? I think this offensive line is mostly the same as it was last year, correct?
Yeah, and I have to feel bad for Bolliard, their GM. I mean, it seems like he's stuck in football purgatory where he's picking these quarterbacks who are pretty good, but not good enough. Like he went with Matt Ryan at the end. He went with Phillip Rivers at the end. He's drafting Anthony Richardson's obviously a bust. Now he's got Daniel Jones, who's been pretty good, but because of that injury, I don't think Daniel Jones can give you the mobility that makes Daniel Jones a dangerous quarterback. And so, I mean, I feel like that's a team that could limp down the stretch and end up being a 10-7 team. And you're just like, man, if you could just get a little bit better quarterback play. But that's the way this team has been for a decade. So ever since Andrew retired.
Right. They got, they had Jacoby Brissett was not great. Then obviously Andrew Luck retired as well at a time that didn't give them time to prepare for it, right? He did it at the third preseason game. So they basically had to roll Jacoby Brissett. Then they made the decision to have Phillip Rivers let him do his last ride in Indy. Then as you mentioned, Matt Ryan. Then they trade a first-round pick for Carson Wentz. Then
Gardner Minshew.
But also he was there to back up Anthony Richardson, but Richardson got hurt twice. And then, here we are now. And I think Daniel Jones has been playing some of the best football of his career. I think Dable, as we saw with Jackson Dart, like just runs these guys into the ground. And I think we've seen at least through the 10 games of healthy Daniel Jones, like he's a much better quarterback than people gave him credit for than what he did with the Giants. He's a guy much like Sam Darnold who might be due for a pretty big payday this offseason. He took a 1-year deal with the Colts, and I think he's played up to that deal. He's got them, tied at least at this point for first place in the division down the Heat, and trying to play through a broken leg to gut it out. I think he did not lose them the football game today, right? Like I don't think Daniel Jones was the problem. I think they couldn't get their run game going, and they were very, very predictable on offense.
Yeah, I was going to say Jonathan Taylor looked more like Zachary Taylor running around there today. He had some moments, and he had that one big play catch out of the backfield. So I mean, he's a guy that it's hard. And when I watch him, well, I remember number one that we could have drafted him in the second or third round when he went. But also, I'm looking at where I see this Texans in the future is I think if this offense is going to be the kind of offense that DeMeco Ryans obviously wants it to be, you need another back. I love Woody Marks, but I think one thing that the NFL has shown is there are very few teams that have only one good back. Because even when you look at the Eagles, when you look at the Falcons, their second backs are pretty damn good. I don't know about the Colts, but I think with all these other teams, you have two good running backs. And so to me, I still love the idea of using a first or one of those second-round picks in next year's draft to get a young running back to pair with Woody Marks.
I don't disagree with you. I think Nick Chubb is washed. I don't think we're ever going to see Joe Mixon again. And if we do, I don't think we're going to see the Mixon of old. Like he's on the wrong side of 30, and he's coming off of a foot injury. I don't love that. I don't love the setup for that narrative there. So I love the idea of bringing in more weapons. I don't think you need it at wide receiver. Higgins has looked fantastic now that they've actually started playing him a little bit more. Noel is a wonderful little slot receiver. Nico's there. You've got plenty of, apparently we got Christian Kirk for another year after this too, I think.
Yay.
We've got plenty of weapons. And so running back's a great spot. Tight end, if there's a elite tight end prospect in those middle rounds, I wouldn't mind bringing in someone like that. But let's shift the focus to the man under center, because I think, today was Stroud's first game back. He'd been out for 3 games and really almost 4 when you look at when that concussion happened. I think Stroud was playing some of the best football of the season in the game up to his concussion, right? Against the Broncos, Stroud looked crisp in that game. And then next thing you know, things fell off course when Mills came in before he won those 3 in a row. But I thought Stroud was okay today. I thought when the moment got bigger and he needed to make some plays, I thought he made those plays. I thought the line made it a little tough at times for him. I don't understand some of the inability to get lined up properly. I think that killed some drives as well. But overall, I'd give CJ a solid B today. If we're grading the performance.
Yeah, I mean, and I think on an aside, you mentioned the legal procedure formation penalties. In my NFL, there is no illegal formation. To me, if you have 11 guys on your side, you can line them up any damn way you want. If you want to run 9 guys behind the quarterback in the center, I think that would be stupid. But, hey, I'd love to see it. See what you can, come up with. Wait, they're going to go left, right? We don't know. I mean, it's just like a, perfect Chinese fire drill. But anyway, yeah, to your point, obviously the pick was a bad pick. But on balance, I think what Stroud is doing is he's checking down more often. And I think that's, the big difference is that, we're seeing an uptick in his completion percentage overall. And I think, when we look at the overall, I mean, how many sacks did the Colts end up with?
It's like 2 or 3, maybe.
They're down on sacks compared to last year. So if you want to sit there and say, hey, our mandate coming into the season was for Stroud, to implement a shorter passing game so that Stroud could complete more passes and get sacked less often. I would say, based on that limited mandate, they've succeeded.
I thought the ball was coming out of the hand faster. And they were just crisper, sharper throws. To me, like if you ask Davis Mills to play the same game that Stroud played today, we lose. I don't think, because there were certainly times like where Mills made some throws where you're like, oh fuck, and they just didn't get intercepted, right? Like the quick slants at the line of scrimmage, or plays where he had the option to throw a slant instead of handing it off, stuff like that, where they're just real quick hitters where his shit could get like nearly intercepted. I thought Stroud did a really nice job of just hitting that first read immediately, a lot of times on quick slants or things over the middle. I thought he did a nice job of using his legs to extend plays. There were a couple times where he ran into some sacks. There was a third and goal, or a third and long near the goal line that he took what should have been like a 25-yard tip shot. Next thing you know, he starts going backward, and it's a 42-yard field goal, right? Like that stuff's still got to stop. But I do think for the most part, you're right. He's taking the check down. I think he threw it away a lot more today. Just, hey, throw it away and live to play another down. They would say he missed his intended target a lot on TV, but if you looked at where the throws missed, like he just threw it over the head of his guy on purpose because no one was going to get there. If his guy makes an amazing catch, awesome. If not, throw it away. So I thought he played a smarter game, and I think I heard this on TV, and the more I've thought about it, I do agree with it. When your defense is this good, if you're CJ Stroud, just don't turn the ball over, right? Like move the chains. If we don't get 7, that's okay. Get 3. Our defense is that good that, hey, all I got to do is put up 20 today. I need a touchdown and a field goal 4 times, one touchdown in one quarter, field goal the next quarter, one touchdown, one field goal. We're probably going to win. We've played 12 games now, Scott. And in 9 of those 12 games, we've held opponents under 20 points.
Yeah, and the difference between Stroud and Mills, I think, is that with Stroud, and you really can't underscore this, he hits receivers with an ability for them to make a play and run and gain yards after the catch. I mean, seeing Nico, on that 29-yarder, he gained a good 10, 12 yards after catching the football. I mean, with Mills on the sidelines, it looks like he was intending passes for George Mirasan. Because, I mean, he'd throw to Higgins, and it'd be like 2 feet above his head, and you're like, what the hell, dude? I mean, he's 6'4". He's not 7'7". I mean, I don't know where you're throwing the football, but I think that's the biggest difference between Stroud and Mills and some of the other quarterbacks that we've had. Even Watson, I don't think had the ability to hit guys in stride as much as Stroud does. Now, the question's going to be, and obviously this is going to be a bridge we're going to have to cross later, is he a $60 million quarterback? And I don't think he is either. But, is he a Brock Purdy? Do you think, is that a reasonable comp?
I think he's probably even a little bit better than Brock Purdy.
And Brock Purdy's what, 52, 53 million?
I guess. I don't know. I would hope he knows the way to win in the NFL is not to have a $60 million contract, right? Like you've got to be able to spread that wealth around. And $40 million is a shit ton of fucking money a year to play quarterback. Like, can we be cool on 40? Like, and we'll donate the proceeds of one of our home games to the biblical charity of your choice. Like, I don't know.
Could you imagine Cal going, okay, CJ, here's what we're going to do. We're going to give you $40 million a year up front, and then we're going to defer another $20 million for your grandkids. They could come in 2040 and come collect their check. What do you think of that? To see if the NFL gets wise to the same thing, the same shit that the Dodgers.
I think it's hilarious that you think Cal McNair knows what a fucking deferred contract is. Like, I think that's like Mrs. McNair, like just giving him a script that he's reading off. CJ, the McNair family is happy to offer you. CJ's like, today, Junior.
Oh yeah.
I just watched Billy Madison with my daughter, so.
No, I was also going back to like Smokey and the Bandit, where you had the damn the sheriff and his damn son, with him in the car. But
I don't think I've ever watched Smokey and the Bandit all the way through. I get the premise. I've watched enough of it, but it was not my jam.
No, I could see that. But no, obviously.
The idea that beer is illegal in certain areas and we're going to have this fucking car that drives super fast so the beer car doesn't get pulled over is crazy.
Well, I love the fact, but, obviously Mahomes is not getting a ton. I mean, Mahomes got I think Mahomes got what looked like a gaudy deal, but it's a great deal for the Chiefs because it's like maybe only 40 or 45 million a year.
I thought he got like 70.
Nah, but it was like they signed like something like a 15-year deal or something like that. I mean, something ridiculous. I mean, which obviously in the NFL, those the lengths of deals are just pretend. I mean, it's just voidable years and all this kind of bullshit. So to me, like, yeah, you could give them 5 years, 300 million, or you could sit there and give them like 8, 320. And just say, hey, the last 3 years of that we can void if you become ass.
What would be like the worst case scenario? I'm gonna give you like this is literally worst case scenario. Houston Hall of Fame Sports Awards come up, right? Somehow, some way, Jim Crane and the McNairs are like at the table together, and the way the place cards are sat. Miss McNair's on the left of Cal and Jim's on the right, okay? And they start talking, and Jim basically just says, my basic philosophy is I never go above 6 years and I don't pay more than $30 million a year. so then Cal's like, wow, Jim, and you guys have had a lot of success, right? He's like, yep, that's my philosophy. 6 years is the max. I never go above 30, 35. Even guys like Alex Bregman, I say, go ahead. Next thing you know, he's like, hey, would you mind like being a console, being maybe a third party negotiator in our CJ Stroud negotiations?
You can imagine like Will Anderson and CJ Stroud have demanded trades. What the fuck? Come on.
Oh my God. Well, Jim, I was talking to my friend Jim Crane, and he said you don't go more than 6 and you don't do more than 30. So that's a quality organization right over there.
All right.
It's a quick show. You want to do some awards, or you got anything else on the game today, Scott?
We can do some awards.
All right. Who are we punching in the face this week?
I read over my message to you, so I'm actually going to go back to the original script. I'm going to explain this, and you have to bear with me here, Tom. So, not this Saturday, but a week ago Saturday, I went to go watch TCU U of H. And I'll have to say the fans there were very polite, not very loud, and not very many of them. So I'm going to have to give a punch in the face to the U of H fan base when you have what turned out to be a 9-win team, could have been a 10-win team, and that stadium was half full, Tim. What's going on down there in Houston? I just don't understand. And I did see a dedicated, I think I told you about this one, we went to HEB after the game, to do some Thanksgiving shopping, before the big rushes of the week. This guy was wearing a U of H shirt, sees me wearing my TCU shirt, and he stops and he looks at me and he just goes, "Kickers," and then just walks off. I felt bad for you guys because, I thought that U of H deserved to win that game because I think anytime you commit 4 turnovers and you blow a chance to go up by 6 and you just, brain dead, don't do it, that U of H deserved better in that moment, but they didn't get it. But to me, the punch in the face is, what are y'all doing on Saturday night? That stadium is smaller than Amon Carter. Amon Carter is full every time I go. I just don't get it.
Scott, we have a serious attendance issue, and it's not new. It's really frustrating. It's been a problem for years. It goes back to even like the Tom Herman years when we were still playing at Robertson, or maybe the Tom Herman years were the first years at TD ECU Stadium. But either way, it's been a problem for years, and they don't know how to do it. One of the main issues is a lot of the kids don't live on campus, right? Like UH is a strong 60 to 70% commuter school. So when a majority of your students are commuters, you're now asking them to commute back to the stadium for the games versus, say, I was at Baylor this weekend, and even though it was, Thanksgiving weekend, a lot of them do live on campus and we're coming back for classes. So, there's going to be more that way. The team hasn't been good until this year, and so I think that's a part of it. And Houston traffic sucks. It really does suck. It is not an easy part of Houston to get to if you want to avoid traffic. So all those things to say we should do better. I completely agree with you. And it's very, very frustrating.
Oh, the good game day experience, though. That when they're shooting that fire about 20, 30 feet in the air when, U of H players are coming out, that's some cool shit. And shooting off fireworks, that was really, it was top notch, but yeah.
It's a common thing, man. Like, it gets talked about a lot in like the Big 12 like Facebook groups of like, we don't have a Big 12 crowd. Like, we really don't. Even like fucking UCF does a better job than we do. And it is embarrassing. I'll be the first to admit. And like I'm no better, right? I went to one game this year and it was in Baylor. Like, I don't go back for games. It's a 6-hour drive. I don't want to fuck with that. Like, it's not a fun drive. You as a TCU fan, Scott, do a better job of going back for games than I do as a UH fan. Like, I will give you that.
Yeah, I go to one game a year. That's what I try to do, and I made it to 2 since the game was in Houston.
Maybe that's maybe next year. You and I match up your TCU visit. We do it on the TCU UH game.
Yeah,
and we go together.
Yeah, that sounds like a plan.
All right, Scott. I want to punch the offensive coordinator for the University of Houston in the face. I don't understand, or just really the coaching staff in general. Yes, we had a wonderful season. Yes, we were 9-3. But, we got our quarterback. His name is Connor Wegman, okay? He is what you think Connor Wegman would look like, Scott, when you hear the name Connor Wegman. And I'll just let you roll with it that way. We give this guy like 20 fucking carries a game. We run Connor Wegman 20 times a game. We've got a stable of backs. We've got everything you could imagine to run the ball well. We've got a guy named Dan Connor who literally is like if Cam Scatterbo didn't have ADHD. Like, he is a normal version of like a contact-seeking back. We've got some shifty players. We've got a tight end who's 6'7", but yet every short yardage situation, clear it out. We're running the fucking quarterback right up the middle to where everybody in the goddamn fucking stadium knows it's coming. And, you know, and then the one time they don't do it on a 4th and 2 play, they run a rollout to the quarterback's left for a throw to the flat to the running back. Like, our play calling is so frustrating considering some of the skill players that we have. You'll see us like we made some stupid plays. We blew a 15-point lead. You have to go get a score. We literally marched right down the field, go get the touchdown we need like it's nothing. And then next thing you know, you just go right back to the same bullshit of diving Connor Wegman right back up the middle because we have a lead and we have a good defense and da 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 da. Like fucking, I want to punch him in the face and just ask him, in what world do you think this is a good idea? Like, this guy is not Tim Tebow. You are not getting Cam Newton running the football. You are getting Connor Wegman. Okay. And he had a wonderful year. He has helped turn around UH football. And his athleticism is a nice touch to the offense, but he doesn't need 20 fucking carries a game.
Yeah, I noticed him. That was a bit of a struggle. Like y'all, U of H was running the ball well against TCU. They couldn't throw it. And in the first half, I mean, it seemed like that's what they were doing. They were trying to do. And if it wasn't for our own quarterback throwing 3 interceptions, that game wouldn't have been close. But, go figure.
We fall in love with the Barry Sanders approach that like at some point he'll bust one. And like he did, like he broke one early. And then after that, like it was just no sledding. But they still wanted to have Wegman line it up and run it. But you know what? It was a fun season. It's a spoiled complaint, but at the end of the day, we could have been 11-1, and probably should have been 11-1. Like, no offense to you guys, like we should have beaten you.
Oh yeah,
and,
no, second.
And we should have beat West Virginia. Both those games were at home. Those are 2 really bad home. We were undefeated on the road this year. So just things to think about as they hope to get better.
Yep. All right, so moving on to the horse's ass. So I am going to go with the generic term. I think you have saluted these folks, and I use salute in air quotes, saluted these folks before, but the Facebook / bulletin board Astros fans, you are getting my horse's ass. So here is the conversation I had last night. I didn't even include you into this one. So we had a conversation about how bad is Christian Walker. So I asked this question because they kept saying, well, he was -7 defensive runs saved. And I said, well, there are 2 other metrics that say he was above average. So I said, forget the metrics. And you can chime here on this one, Tim. When you watched Christian Walker, did you see a good defensive first baseman?
Yes.
I did too. And come to find out that apparently some of the defensive metrics do not count picking throws out of the dirt. And that's what Christian Walker is really good at. So I would sit there and say that they have, all of the metrics have probably underestimated him as a fielder. But they're sitting there talking about how he is just complete and utter ass. And it's like, well, no. If you look at the numbers, he is a major league average hitter, below average for a first baseman. That's what it is. That's what it was. And so I think what the problem is with the Astros fans is that they've got so much Jose Abreu stuck on the brain that they think this guy's going to come back, he's going to hit $160, and he's just going to go in the toilet. And it says, well, no, probably what's going to end up happening is that he's not going to start the season with an oblique injury, which our training staff conveniently rushed him back for because that's all our training staff knew how to do. So, he probably gets off to a better start. We have better coaching. We have people who can feed him more information. And he's always going to be a little K-happy, but I am sure that we're going to see a slight improvement in contact. and you see a slight improvement in contact, you're going to see a slight improvement overall. Is he going to be 2021 or 2022 Christian Walker? No. But he's going to be better than 2025 Christian Walker. And I don't understand this idea that everybody keeps pointing out that we're not going to exceed the tax. We're not going to exceed the tax. We can't afford Ryan Weiss. I think I forwarded that one to you, Tim. So I think they ended up signing him for $4 million. So what did you think of that signing?
I think it's a pretty on par Astro signing. You know, a guy who has had some success at a other level that's not maybe the major leagues, that they see something in his spin rate or his, you know, some pitch he was using he shouldn't have been using, and they can find some success with him. I thought it was a diamond in the rough, hopeful type signing. I don't think it was like, oh, we didn't get Dylan Cease, let's go get Weiss. Like, I don't think that was the spin and do that instead.
Well, and the thing what kills me there is that, well, we're not going to have enough money to sign, you know, the other. And it's like, come on, dude, it's $4 million. And what he did, though, is in the postseason in Korea, he finished in the bullpen in the postseason. So he is a guy that could start or relieve. Obviously, we're going to have a bigger conversation later on when it comes to guys like Lance McCullers. I wonder if they're going to end up doing to him what the Angels did with Anthony Rendon, and just sit there and say, we're going to have to just cut you a check and, you know, have you go on your way. Because if he is going to sit there and say, I'm a starting pitcher, I just, sorry, bud, you're not one of the 5 or 6 best guys we got. But we saw what happened in 2025. You needed the Costanzas. You needed the Brandon Walters. You needed those guys. So instead of just simply bringing those guys back, go out and find the next Brandon Walter. Go out and find the next Jason Alexander. I mean, I have no problem with that.
No, I tend to agree with you. Right? Like who was Charlie Morton before the Astros found him? You know, that was a discovery that, hey, you're using this type of fastball instead, switch to a 4-seam and you'll have more success. Oh my God, thank you. You know what the Astros did for
Colin McHugh. Colin McHugh.
Colin McHugh's another one. The lefty that was great until like the last 3 or 4 starts of the season. During 2019, maybe.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah. Oh, that's going to bug me. But yeah, absolutely.
The Astros have done it time and time again, and they've done it with relievers. You know, Souza was not good with the White Sox in 2024, and Souza was very good with the Astros in 2025. You know, the Astros pitching coaches have done a nice job of identifying areas that work and kind of reverse engineering those areas to attack a game plan. So there are very few times when the Astros sign a pitcher that I haven't heard of that I go, what the fuck are we doing? I just more go, okay, cool. Trust the process.
But I just don't like number one, you and I have both been on record saying, like, you know, blow past the tax. Fuck it. Let's go. But if you're not going to do that, these fans want to run Dana Brown out on a rail, and it's like, what do you want the guy to do? You're sitting there pointing to certain guys on the team saying you can't trade this guy. You're pointing to a tax saying you can't spend more than this. What do you want the guy to do?
No, I completely agree with you. If, you know, all of us have a budget of some sort or another, right? You know, even take it from work. Like, I've got a marketing budget. I can spend this much money. I can't go above that. I've got, you know, whatever it is to spend for the year. I'm going to take that budget and I'm going to try and do everything I can with it, as much as I can with it across the whole year. Same way, right? Like, hey, here's the budget for your salary. It's the tax. Okay. That means I've got this much to play with. I can trade guys away and free up some money. I can find some diamonds in the rough, like a hopeful, like a Weiss for only $4 million. You know, if this guy comes out and throws 165 innings and wins 12 or 13 games with a 3.5 ERA, all those fans are going to shut the fuck up real quick, right? So, you hope that you can spread the money around a little bit and do what you can with the budget and try and be as economical as you can.
Right. Okay, who you got, Tim?
So this week, my horse's ass. I guess we'll call them like Davis Mills truthers. Even in the return of CJ Stroud, we have seen just the amount of people who are like, "Oh, Davis would have punched that one in. Davis would have done this. Davis would have taken that sack." The amount of that is just so fucking stupid, Scott. Like it to me, it was like night and day clear the difference of having CJ at quarterback today versus having Davis Mills. But somehow instead, there are people out there who genuinely believe that Davis Mills is the answer.
Well, I have a perfect spot for him. Have you seen these progressive backups, commercials?
Great for him.
Well, what would be great for him is like something that's happening underneath the sink. And the dad's like, I can't see it. Let's bring in Davis with his long neck. He can get in there.
That's fantastic.
I mean, it's just absolutely perfect. And you knew it was coming. That was what was so frustrating is you knew it was coming. You knew the first pick that CJ threw, the first sign of struggle when they're in the red zone. You knew it was coming. You knew, and I love the guy, and I know you love the guy, but the Case Keenum truthers are the exact same way. And it's like Houston has this love affair. Somebody on the radio was talking about it. He says they have this love affair with mediocre athletes that they just, you don't get. Like people are probably more pissed off at Mauricio Dubon going out of town than they were about Bregman or Tucker or anybody like that. And they're like, why are you freaking out over this guy going out of town? I mean, it'd be like, Shane Battier left the Riders. Oh,
God. I was bummed when Battier left. I was that was my guy.
But he wasn't the reason why we were winning.
No,
he was part of it.
He was awesome.
He was part of a composite roster. But Davis Mills is kind of the same way. He's a good backup quarterback. Nobody's ever said, really anything different. But you aren't writing a Davis Mills quarterback team to the promised land. He is not going to Nick Foles your team into a Super Bowl victory. That's not happening.
No, not unless the D matches the neck, all right? They called him Big Dick Nick for a reason, right? That guy had some fucking clackers to come up with some plays in the biggest moment. And I think Davis Mills, whatever happens with this Texas Stevens, Davis Mills deserves his flowers for, you can call it righting the ship. You can call it, keeping the season alive. Call it what you want, right? Davis Mills deserves his props for his 3.5 weeks of work that he did. Yeah. Texans are not in the position they're in without Davis Mills. But you can't sit here and tell me that you watch CJ Stroud play and you watch Davis Mills play and you clearly think Davis Mills is the better choice. And unless you're literally like fucking clan meetings and watching the games that way, I don't know what else it is.
You're that white boy. Come on, bring it down.
That's what I think it is. They're like, look at that punk out there thinks he can play quarterback. We got a fine young breed over here in Davis. Davis is the man. My great-great-grandpapa fought for the South. His name was Davis.
Lord have mercy. Okay.
Just a little clan joke. We all need them every now and then. All right, Scott. Let's tip a cap. Who are you tipping a cap to this week?
I'm going to go with Patrick Creighton. I don't know. You've heard of Patrick Creighton?
I have, yeah.
So Patrick Creighton, I'm going to give him a little bit of pub. He is half of the broadcasting duo of Area 45 on 610, usually heard from 7 to 10 p.m., unless they're preempted by like a Monday Night Football game or something like that. But he took over Crawfish Boxes and has offered me a position back. Now, how much is it going to pay? I don't know. Is it going to pay? I don't know. But we're in the process of getting me back on. And the guy actually invited me out to lunch, and we talked Houston sports for probably a good 2-3 hours. I mean, it was just a long lunch, and he paid for lunch. So got to tip my cap to that. He gave me some insights, because he's more closely covering the team. His goal for the site is he wants Crawfish Boxes to be credentialed eventually. So that'd be nice to have a press pass to go back in there and be able to ask Joe Espada some questions in the post-game press conference. I might, be liable to get our press credentials pulled, very quickly at that point. But hey, what's the least that can happen? But really good guy, knowledgeable sports guy, and obviously he's a stat head, kind of like me. So tip my hat to him.
I'm glad you're going to have the opportunity to continue to write baseball and be a source of knowledge for some Astros fans. I know they enjoyed your approach and your new theories and new formulas to determine how we would spend those dollars, Jim.
Yes, absolutely.
I am going to tip my cap to my daughter Sawyer. I mentioned I had the harebrained idea at 9:30 at night to go see a UH game. I knocked on her door. I said, "Hey, you down?" She said, "Absolutely." And we had a great time together. We met Shasta and Sasha, both mascots. We stayed for a whole game. Not once did she say like, "Hey, can we leave?" or anything like that. Real trooper. And it was we were rewarded with a great football game. Had great seats, less than $10 a ticket. I will say that the mile walk back to the car after the game, I think she was a little bit over that. But overall, just a great time together. And I tip my cap to her for being down to take the adventure with me and take the road trip.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right, Scott, who is in the crosshairs this week? Who is your scumbag of the week?
Okay, I'm going to go with the guy, and this is the best nickname that I've heard. Have you heard the nickname Whiskey Leaks?
I have not, no.
That is for our defense secretary, Pete Hegseth.
That's wonderful.
And I bring up Whiskey Leaks because the audacity of a guy who shares war plans on a public chat line with a damn journalist is going to try to court-martial an American hero. And I will tell you that there are people in this. I'll just say this: there are people in the space industry that do not like him, did not enjoy working with him. That he could be kind of an abrasive ass. However, nobody can question his patriotism, what he did for the country, and all the man said was, "Soldiers, you should not follow illegal orders." Boom. Now, why would any administration, you can answer this question, Tim, why would any administration take offense to that?
Probably because they're asking them to do some illegal shit, Scott.
Well, and I think it got to the point where Donald Trump resents the law. He doesn't want there to be laws unless he decrees them. And he doesn't like the law that says, like, you can't blow up Colombian fishing boats out of the water on very flimsy evidence. You can't give the order to blow up the boat, have them jump in the water, and then come back and then tried to kill them in the water. That's literally not how war works. And to me, Pete Hegseth is somebody who's in the military, should know better. And that's why he is getting this award and not Donald Trump, because at this point, I think Donald Trump is an adult brain jackass who doesn't know anything. To me, it's the people who should know something that have to step up and say, no, we're not doing this. And you notice that there have actually even been some Republican senators who said, no, we shouldn't be doing this. Finally. Because, all the guy said was, don't follow illegal orders. It says that on a plaque at West Point, that you shouldn't follow legal orders. Your oath is to the Constitution. It's not to some dipshit with a hairpiece. I don't get it. I mean, the guy probably spends half his time drunk. He whacks himself in the nuts with a skateboard. I mean, that's probably what he's best at. And you're going to sit there and you're going to try and court-martial a guy? This is a waste of our time. They're going to laugh you out. They're going to laugh you out the same way that they will laugh out Janine Boxwine's prosecutions in Washington, D.C. I mean, it's just, it's silly.
It is. It absolutely is. And it sucks that we're in this position that we even have to make the statement to not follow unlawful orders, but we do. So it just sucks all around. I'm glad someone's standing up for it. I'm glad it's Mr. Kelly or your Representative Kelly. He's got the cachet behind him, right? Like when Chuck Schumer stands up, he's like, don't follow any unlawful orders. Like, well, most people hate you, and including most Democrats, because you're a piece of shit, and you've enriched yourself while being in office. Like, fuck you. But like when someone like Representative Kelly or Representative Kelly does that, this guy answers fucking questions from space, right? Like he's kind of cool. Like he does AMAs from Reddit, like from the International Space Station. Like I know who he is. Like okay, it just has some different cachet. And I think you and I both know the point of those commercials wasn't for the military. It's so people will start asking, well, what do you mean? Like, what are they talking about? Why would they be following unlawful orders? So they, and having him do that again lends more credence to it. So a fairly rare, decently smart play, I think, by the Democrats. Not going to get a full hat tip, but I do support you in the scumbaggery.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, go. You got it.
I would say I have our sights on the vice president of the United States. Scott, did you know our vice president is anti-turkey? What was almost the national bird of the United States, if Ben Franklin would have had his way, he's not a fan. He said it's impossible to cook a good turkey. It's impossible to make it moist, and no one even likes eating it. We all just do it one day a week, and then we never eat turkey. One day a year, we never eat turkey again. He points at some lady in the crowd, and he goes, how are you going to be cooking your turkey? And she's like, I'm going to be frying it. And he goes, exactly, right there. You don't fry things that you enjoy eating. You only fry things that are gross. It's just, dude, Thanksgiving is a time-honored tradition. Turkey is the fucking food, okay? If you don't like turkey, if you want to be Chandler Bing and have a pizza or whatever the fuck it is, go be that guy. But like getting on stage at like a Thanksgiving prep event and talking about how turkey sucks and how everybody makes dry turkey. Number one, my turkey was fucking succulent. All right. It was moist. It was delicious. It was anything but dry. It like as you cut into it, butter leaked out. So don't come at me for a dry turkey. Number two, I eat turkey 4 or 5 times a week. You ever heard of a fucking turkey sandwich, my guy? It's delightful. A little turkey, a little bacon, a little cheese. Put whatever, vegetables or condiments you want on it from there. Delicious, wonderful lunch. Maybe even a dinner if you're a little busy and you don't have a ton of time to prep something, anything better. You can buy just a turkey breast in the store and cook that. It's a little turkey breast, gravy, mashed potatoes for dinner. have that quite often too. Turkey burgers. I could go on and on, Scott, but I think as America, we would all agree we eat turkey more than once a fucking year.
And I'm gonna say I'm not the biggest fan of turkey. However, I'm not coming out in public and sitting there telling somebody that they shouldn't eat something. And did you see the whole thing where Donald Trump couldn't even manage to pardon a turkey?
I did see
And
that,
he's
yeah.
like, and he's sitting there rambling on about and then it's like, well, Gobbles is not here. He says, yeah, because Gobbles is in a fucking car driving to Mexico right now, dude. He is flown the coop. I don't know if you saw the memes where you had the turkey looking at the weather for Thursday and it said 350 degrees, and he's like, that doesn't look right. But we had a turkey for Thanksgiving. It was pretty good. But I am so sick and tired of politicians pontificating about food, pontificating about where you get like Donald Trump talking about the kickoff rule. I don't want to know your opinion of the damn kickoff rule. You've got more important.
I don't like living in a world where Donald Trump goes, I'd like to see Rush Hour 4. And Paramount goes, oh, yes, a master. Yes, sir. Jackie Chan, get your ass back to town. We're making Rush Hour 4. Chris Tucker, get your ass over here.
Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth?
Like, I'm now supposed to believe that 70-something-year-old Jackie Chan is back? Like, what the fuck, man? There's a reason we didn't need this movie.
Well,
Scott, this is Kim Jong-un territory. Like, he literally is approaching Kim Jong-un territory when it comes to like media being made for him. Like the ability to say, I want Rush Hour 4, and they're like, you got it.
Well, you cannot tell me that all the minions are sitting there in the White House and go like, let's knock down the East Wing, have him build a ballroom. He'll spend all of his waking hours arguing about wallpaper, and then we can do all the shit we want. Let's do it. and that's what he's doing. He's going to sit there and ogle over. No, that fake gold paint, it's not realistic enough. You need to go get the Sherwin-Williams. Come on, let's go. Let's get the guy that's making the brass lettering that tells me that this is the Oval Office, because I don't fucking know it's the Oval Office. I need a sign to tell me that this is the Oval Office. Imagine like he's like, toilet here. Oh, look at the sign. They told me where the toilet was.
When he's done, do you know like how in the hospitals they have like the lines on the floor that'll take you to wherever you need to go? That's what it's going to be. Like the Oval Office, follow the gold line all the way to the Oval Office. The brown line takes you to the bathroom because you do the brown thing in the bathroom. And that's like, he gets a laugh out of it every time. Then like the green one takes you outside to the lawn. And like the blue one takes you to the White House. Oh, the red one takes you to the first lady because she gets a period. And he gets a laugh out of that. Like it would be like the most immature way you could do the colors ever, but he would have it like no class. Just follow the lines. Just follow them.
Well, you remember the what was it? I think it was Monsters versus Aliens. Did you ever see that cartoon?
No.
So Colbert played the president, and it was pretty hilarious because he played basically like Colbert from the Colbert Report, where he's just he's just an ignorant jackass. And so you have the sign that says nuke and a sign that says coffee. And he accidentally pushes the nuke button. Like, no, I wanted coffee. He has his Diet Coke button next to the nuke button. I'm going to nuke Parador. Yeah, Parador. Where is Parador, Mr. President? Oh, it's in Southwest Asia, Africa, America. That's where it's that's where it's at.
And here's your Diet Coke. Oh, thank God. That's what I wanted the whole time. I was just thirsty the whole time.
I didn't even know there was a Parador. That's because there's not.
All right, Scott. Anything you need to add in?
No, I think that's it.
All right, we're going to be out next week. I am out of town, and then we are back in hot the following week. So we appreciate everyone who joined us for our special edition post Texans win. We will see everybody in a couple weeks.